And Parliament is back in session, and the House has been discussing child adoption. Here is a Deputy Gender Minister, De La Soa, speaking in the House today.
Anybody can adapt. We can't really monitor who is adapting and who is not adapting. When children are sent outside the country, there's no means of tracking and monitoring how they are faring outside the country. And now there'll be a means of monitoring how they are faring outside the country. And it is to make us Hague compliant. Ghana has acceded to the Hague Convention, and there are certain rules and regulations within that convention that we need to also put in place in the country. So the amendment will make us Hague compliant, so that we seek in everything the best interest of the children. Sometimes children are adopted, they are trafficked and other things. We have to protect their interests and make sure that if somebody comes to adopt a child, he's adopting the child for the purpose that they intended to adopt the children. Some people also come for adoption. They probably don't have the finances to take care of the children. So we want to ensure that those coming for adoption are capable of looking after the children. And then either to the district court, any district court can grant the adoption order, but now it has to be by a high court. There'll be a creation of a central adoption authority, and they will review all adoptions. They will operate at the district level, at the regional level, and then at the national level. So those things are being put in place to protect our children from abuse.
So for example, if a child is adopted and is taken outside the country, that child still remains, for example, property of the country, and the law will have to take care of that.
Exactly. And adoptions can be reversed. If we monitor and find that the child is in a situation where it's not being properly catered for, the adoption can be reversed. So we will register all children, track and monitor them whichever country they are sent to.
So therefore, whoever is interested in adopting a child must conform to conditions that will be set under this bill.
Exactly so. And also there are age limits. We are also by this bill trying to encourage in-country adoptions and foster care, and prevent people from being children from being put in children's home. It affects them negatively. So we are trying to encourage Ghanaians to give another child the opportunity, foster a child, adopt a child in country.
And it's time for fact-checking. Today, we are focusing on some claims made by running mate to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and former Trade Industry Minister Alan Kyerematen at the party's manifesto launch on Sunday. Now, this is brought to you in collaboration with the Media Foundation for West Africa. Raymond Dakwa is our fact-checker, joins us in the studio. So what exactly are we fact-checking when it comes to Dr. Bawumia?
Predominantly economics, and that's from, his comment on whether or not Moody's did not upgrade Ghana, as the president sought to say, and also issues to do with whether or not our GDP has been declining steadily since 2011. So why don't we start with the first one? Dr. Bawumia says Moody's did not upgrade Ghana. Indeed, he continued by saying Ghana's rating under Moody's is still B3, and it's only the outlook that has been revised, and that's not equivalent to a change in ratings or an upgrade. We checked that, and if you actually saw the Moody's announcement in their investor services on the 20th of September, they were clear. They said that the government of Ghana's sovereign credit rating was affirmed at B3, and its outlook changed from negative to stable. Now, the key fact in there is that in this latest credit rating action by Moody's on Ghana, it's an affirmation and not an upgrade. An affirmation is maintaining your status, which is the main rating, and the outlook is what was changed from negative to stable.
So the verdict is what?
This is entirely true.
That Dr. Bawumia is factual on this one. And then which other one?
The second one is that he says since 2011, real GDP growth has declined steadily and drastically from 14% with the onset of oil production to 3.9% in 2015. And he proceeds to say that projected GDP growth for 2016 is even lower, and made a point that with all of the production of oil, we are still recording what was below that of 3.7 in 2000. So we checked the claims and realized that it's indeed the case that, for example, in the World Bank has reported clearly on, instead of being in 2011, that the GDP growth was 14.5. This dropped to 3.88 in 2015. And as we speak, it's also being projected by both the World Bank and the IMF that our GDP will go to a lower rate than what was supposed to be the 3.7 in 2000. Indeed, the second quarter GDP was somewhere around 2.6.
So, the verdict?
This is mostly true.
Okay.
Now, the third one is that he proceeded to say that the IMF in its recent review of the Ghanaian economy has warned that Ghana is on the cusp of financial economic and financial crisis. This indeed supports to some extent, even though it was not clearly stated that this the condition we find ourselves, we are on the cusp of financial and economic crisis. They're saying you may, depending on this and that claim. So
there are conditions that might trigger a crisis.
A crisis, but not necessarily that we are necessarily going to jump into a crisis. So this is half true.
Okay.
Okay, so now we also checked the claims by the Honorable Alan Chairman.
He addressed issues about industrialization, etc.
Very well.
In enterprise.
But setting the background for his conversation was the fact that he said, according to the World Bank, about 48% of Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed. And ostensibly referencing that document that was launched by the World Bank earlier this year, the landscape of jobs.
Yeah. In fact, and that is also captured in their manifesto.
Very well.
It's become a basis for making some promises and policy
claim,
proposals.
and of course, it's also because mostly it's the media reports. The exact statement that's in that particular document is that, indeed, 52% of people in this country between ages 15 and 24 were employed. As against 90% who are between the ages of 25 and 64. What the presumption from the media report was that if 52% are employed, it automatically means 48% are unemployed. So media reports indicated that 48% are unemployed. And people also picked up that particular one. But if you read carefully that report, it stated, among other things, that if you check now, about a third of the 15 to 24 age group were economically inactive, cannot be employed or cannot be unemployed. They are not available for work. They are actually outside the zone who are supposed to be working. That's 31%. And moved on to say that an additional 4% were the ones they considered unemployed, even though 14% of this age group were not working whilst they were out of school. So the other criteria of seeking work, they don't qualify by, but they were not working and out of school. So the presumption
because there is an established definition of unemployment.
And because probably the media reports
includes people who are it excludes people who are not
available for work,
actively looking for work.
Yeah, very good. So that is where the difference is. And you can't state the unemployed quoting that report when you take it out of the context and presume that it said 48% of the people in this country between 15 and 24 are unemployed. So this is
the verdict is
false.
Okay.
Now, the other one is that he mentioned in 2015 that manufacturing recorded a negative growth of negative 2%, and also proceeded to say one mining even recorded a negative growth of negative 3.8%. We checked, and luckily he also referenced the same, what they call it, source, which is supposed to be the media review. Yeah. If you check that document, it clearly states that manufacturing registered a growth rate of 2.2%. And proceeded to say in that same document, if you can quote it, an improvement over the contraction recorded in 2014. His reference period was not supposed to be 2015, but 2014. So he got it wrong on that particular one. And where it was right was the negative 3.8 he quoted for mining, which is indeed a case and admitted so by government in this particular case. So this is mostly false.
Okay. Raymond, thank you very much. And that's the fact-checking exclusively here on your election headquarters, also on, of course, the Pulse on Johnny's channel on Multi TV.